Hi guys! Welcome to Books and I am Mikkel, and thank you for coming to my December review. So in this one, I'm only going to do the ones that I feel comfortable recommending. I read about 10 books in December. Not all of them were good enough. Good. Some of them I just read to finish them. Some of them I read but didn't feel like they didn't spark anything. They didn't hold my interest. They were probably good books and if someone else read them, someone else would enjoy them, but I personally did not. So the ones I'm going to tell you or talk to you about are all the ones that I absolutely loved, or it invoked some sort of sense that I felt like other people would also enjoy. Ones I don't mind putting my name next to, I should say. So, and this one I have 3 books that I recommend. One is an audiobook. One is a book that TikTok got. I was on TikTok and it was recommended. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. And it was. And then the third one was, I was looking for something that was nice, cozy. I was trying to find a book that I could recommend for my job book club, and I'm supposed to lead a book. And I thought this one's synopsis was cute because I'm supposed to do kind of a romance, and I'm not huge on romance. I do read a lot of romance. Usually fantasy romance is usually what I read a lot of. Heavy on the fantasy, that's usually my preference. But in this case, I was looking for one that was had romance, but would not be overly dramatic, because there's a fine line between romance and smut, and I feel like some people are really good at balancing it. Some people tend to lean more towards romance or more towards smut, and there's a nice balance. And since this is for work, I wanted one that leans more towards romance. So, and this one did a phenomenal job. So we're going to start with my audiobook. It was called Blended by Sharon M. Damper. This was picked out because I've been trying to find more books that are about being biracial. Definitely, even if they are like black and white like myself, because I feel like there's not a lot of books out there about being multiracial. If there is, it's usually half human, half fake. Fantasy reader, remember, that's what they are, half shifter, half human. And there's always one side that's like disliked the most, which in those cases, it's usually the human side isn't the side people want. But I wanted actual books with characters who are biracial. And so if you looked at my October review one, I did a love letter to whiskey. That one had me tore up inside. This one, it was like a nice reassurance that someone put to paper, put into words, because it was audio, some of the struggles that I went through as a child. And it's great because the character we're following is a child. She's about 11 to 13, and she's biracial, and she comes from a now broken family, because that's what we call divorce. When the family breaks up, it is now a broken family. And she's trying to balance going between her mom and her dad, her black and her white parents, and herself hearing some unintentional racial comments that have been told to her. Her not understanding, is she white, is she black, who is she, what is she, and how seeing herself, how the world views her, and having that realization that, oh, I am different. I'm not like my mom, but I'm also not like my dad. And that's, in her case, that's how it was. And some of the questions she brought up were, to me, questions that I brought up when I was younger, when I was little, and trying to find my identity. And these questions are not ones that just disappear or there's always an answer to. A lot of these questions I still question as an adult and have to reevaluate my answers because as the older I get, my definition or the way I define myself does change because I'm not my 16-year-old self. I am not my 22-year-old self anymore. And right now, my 28-year-old self is going to be different from my 50-year-old self. And so being able to check in with yourself, realign your morals, your values, and how you see yourself and how you want the world to see you is a very good thing. I think you should do. And this book brought back up more self-reflection that I had not necessarily been slacking on, but got comfortable with. And was like, oh, I don't need to review that. I have the answer. And then now that the question came up or the thought appeared again in my mind, I was like, oh, my answer is no longer the same. I do not stand by X, Y, and Z now. Now I'm definitely a W. So, win. Anyways, it was adorable. It was heartbreaking and it was sad. As most books with race and the split families have in common, if you have a young child who is biracial or they are struggling with self-identity culturally and ethnically, not sexually, I'd say, I recommend this book. If you are a teacher trying to teach race and self-identity, I recommend this book. It was beautiful. It was well written. The audio was, the narrator was phenomenal. Loved it. It is a book that, if, Lord forbid, knock on wood, I have a child, this would be in my child's library. This is something that I would give, and I would make sure I go and check in and have a conversation with them. It was great. All right, now we got the kind of sappy one out of the way. We're going to move to my next favorite one, which was Bonded by Thorns. I read the first and second book. This one is a romance / fantasy book, and it was 100%. There was smut in it. Not a lot, at least in the first one. Definitely in the second one. The second one got turned up. It was cute because it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it's told as like with fae and shapeshifters and magic, and you are met with a very broken, damaged woman who is all about her family. Even though her family, in my opinion, should have been thrown away, and she didn't. Good for her. She's a better person than I, because I would have been gone a while ago. And I honestly think because of her family, that is the reason why she wasn't as strong and as independent as she should or could have been. She ends up getting there once she leaves or does, like in the Beauty and the Beast, takes her father's prison status as her own. She gets that opportunity to grow into the woman or person I would like to say that she's always going to be, but honestly, where you go and how you choose to confront things is actually what changes you into the person you're going to be. And if she had went to college, that's a different experience. Different environment, different obstacles that can be thrown at you, and you have different responses as opposed to little creatures that want to eat you. Not in a fun way. So it's different. And it was intriguing to read and pick out the similarities and to have that thought in my mind of this character could have been completely different if she had went to school or left her town or had been raised to vocalize her dislikes and to tell people no and that certain things are not okay, to be able to stick up for herself, which she wasn't, in my opinion, taught. And that is a hindrance that I feel like a lot of young women have a struggle with is they're not taught to put boundaries, and then that's acceptable. And it's okay to be a bitch. Because usually, most likely, you're a bitch because you told someone no and you stood up for yourself and they didn't want it. And now they're trying to place blame at you, which, it's not. Just side hustle. And that is something that this character lacks, but you get to watch it grow. Especially in the first book. In the second book, it's a continual growth. Obviously, there's always backsliding because when you're changing and you're adapting, old habits just don't gone. And that's what I liked about this book is that she didn't change so much that I couldn't recognize her as the first character I was introduced to. She's still there, and I like that character to a point. But I appreciate the woman she's turning into, and that the softness that was her at the beginning is still coming with her. Just sometimes she has to tell that side of her, no, let me not be treated this way. I can still be soft, but just because I'm soft does not mean I deserve to be treated like that. And that was nice to watch. And the characters are funny. So if you like it, I'm planning to try to read book 3. It just recently came out. That's the reason why I haven't read book 3 yet. So I need to go. It's on Kindle Unlimited, which is a subscription service to be able to read any of the unlimited books. You keep them in your library for as long as you need to read it. It's a monthly subscription service. That's what I use. So it's not affiliated. It's just that's what I use. That's how I read it. You can always buy it, which down in the descriptions I will have all of the books I mentioned linked there. Those links will be affiliated, but the link to the Kindle Unlimited that I would put is just in case you want to go get your own subscription. That's not. Also, you don't have to use my links. You can Google or go to Amazon and type in the title of the books and get it that way. But yeah. And then my favorite one of December was The Wishing Game by Meg Schaffer. And it was a cozy read. And it was adorable. And it had me tearing up. And it had me hugging myself because I deserved a hug because I couldn't hug the character. And in this one, we meet a TA who's had some very bad luck in her life. And she's trying to take care of herself and pick up herself from a bad past that at the beginning of the book you don't know, but you can tell that something's happened that made her in this bad situation that she is working to get out of. She's not stuck. She's not woe is me. She has goals. She has wants, and she is working to get there. And that, to me, is empowering and was amazing to watch. That it wasn't just well, woe is me, oh, woe is me. She wasn't just a victim. She was a victim who had plans to not be a victim anymore. And that is my favorite kind of character. And she's also trying to get to a certain financial staple that she can adopt a little boy whose parents had an accident and died. And she connected with this child. And she gets this, and right when she thinks that she's going to have to let this little boy down and tell him that she can't adopt him because she's not in a good financial place. And she knows that, and it's just it's a bad situation, and she doesn't want him to be also in a bad situation. Right when she's about to tell him this, she gets a letter from an author that she loved when she was little. And it invites her to come to his island where she gets to play the wishing game. And whoever wins gets the right to the last book or the most recent book he's written. I don't know if it's the last one he'll ever write, but it's the one that it hasn't had a new book in 20 to 15 years. It's been a long time. And he just written one, and now whoever wins the contest wins the rights to the book. which then would set her up for life because then she could sell it, and there you go. And so we're following this character as she goes through the game to try to win. And then there's a grumpy artist who's on the island who's been taking care of the author, who's an older gentleman. The author, the artist is only about like 5 years older than the main female character, and he's a love interest. And hearing his backstory and learning about the author's backstory and how they connect to the books, it gets dark. And it's like, oh, you have a lot of those moments, and you just want to hug everyone in the book, and you just want to be like, yay! I'm glad this happened. I'm glad you met. I'm glad you can be together. So read it. That's all I'm saying. Read it. Support the author. Tell me what you thought. Tell me how it made you feel. And just overall, I hope you enjoy. All of these books that I recommend are books that brought me, even if I was frustrated and annoyed, I still had moments of joy. And the Max Books ones from my November one, that one is just happiness. When I reflect on how well that's written, when I reflect on the story, that just makes me happy. But these other books, they bring me moments of peace and joy. Maybe not emotionally, but they're just so good. If there's a book that you particularly would like to read, pop it down in the comments. Let me know. If you've read the book, let me know. If you hated the books, you can let me know and tell me why. Tell me what your perspective is, because reading is subjective. What I read is not, even if it's the same words, is not what you're going to read. And that, to me, is magic. So, like and subscribe, and let's make 2024 an amazing year and a fun time. Thank you for watching. Remember, everything that you do on my channel really does matter. Thank you so much. Bye.